Describe the scene when police arrived.
She did have some white foam coming out of her mouth, and officers started asking what happened.
It's an unimaginable thing to watch your loved one drowning.
The manner in which he claims she drowned is just a huge stretch.
Police searching for answers.
They had a lot of questions for him.
Is there any way this could have been an accidental death?
Somebody meant to kill her.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell. Today's Crime Exposé takes us to Key West, Florida. A last-minute vacation taken by a pair of lovers to an idyllic hideaway turned into a nightmare when the woman ended up dead. Police had to sort through the couple's party lifestyle to determine if this was indeed a drowning or something worse. But a hurricane nearly derailed the investigation and almost let a killer go free. Determined investigators went high-tech to follow the evidence and catch the killer. A humid late summer evening in Key West is the last stop before the Atlantic Ocean and a perfect spot to escape prying eyes.
Key West is at its heart a very small town, about 25,000 full-time yearly residents, and we are very fortunate. We don't have crime like this, violent crime. It's very rare, and we get a couple million tourists through here every year.
A call came into the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. A man named Billy Baker said that the woman with him, Candice Cooper, was in distress.
He said that his wife was drowning. When they transferred him to the city 911 dispatch center, he told dispatchers that his wife had drowned at the beach.
It would be very reasonable to think, okay, we had a tourist and unfortunately she wasn't able to swim, or the current, or a day of partying. That's not something that would raise questions.
What condition was Candice in when police arrived?
The first officers to get there, Candice is just kind of half in the water and half up on the beach. And paramedics had actually gotten there first, so they were starting CPR on her, and officers started asking what happened and started kind of getting information from there.
A woman walking her dog told police what she saw leading up to the 911 call.
She was walking her dog on Smathers Beach. It was a very large, popular beach on one end of the island, and she saw a man on top of a woman and had no idea what was going on.
She had thrown the ball for her dog, and as she gets closer, she sees that Billy's kind of got his hands on her chest and moving him around like this and going like this. And as she got closer, she realized that Candice actually didn't have a top on. So at first she thought maybe they were having sex on the beach. But then as she got closer, she could hear other voices, and then she saw a cell phone on the sand and realized it was someone telling him how to do CPR. The sun was setting as officers get there. You know, it's still light out enough that they can see everything.
Paramedics rushed Candice to a Key West hospital, but it was too late to save her. Did you speak to the boyfriend first or view the body?
I actually responded to the hospital first and saw she had some bruises on her legs, one large bruise on her right thigh. When looking at her eyes, I did notice the petechia in her eyelids and the bottom of her eyes. And I also noticed petechia and some bruising on the inside of her gums and on her lips. Those little things are what I noticed when I first saw her.
Billy Baker was taken to police headquarters, where Detective Mitchell met with him.
They immediately brought in Mr. Baker for questioning. He was there for a while. They were asking him to give them all the details of the trip.
He was actually pretty calm for what was going on. And so I asked him, what had happened and what was going on. And his story was that they had come to the beach to watch the sunset. They were in the water, just kind of floating in the water, watching the sun. And after a couple minutes, he looked over at her and he said that she was right next to him. And she wasn't moving. So he kind of was like, ha ha, you got me, you're joking. And then she still didn't move, so he got up, and he said that when he rolled her over, he could tell that she was drowning. And so then he said that he pulled her up to the edge of the water.
And he says he began CPR and then ran to the truck to call 911.
The detective pressed Billy for more details of Candice's final minutes. So were you skeptical of Billy at all, of the account that he was telling you?
I said, well, was she diving in the water? Was she, jumping around? Did she hit her head? And he was like, no. So his version was just that she just rolled over and face first into the water and drowned. That appeared odd. She wouldn't make a sound or make a move. The body's instinct, you're drowning, is it wants to breathe, and you're going to move, you're going to splash about or make some noise. And his version was that she just was face down in the water and she just drowned.
A romantic vacation had ended in unimaginable horror. Detective Mitchell had to dig deeper and investigate why a healthy woman who knew how to swim ended up dead.
He gave us a pretty brief story, very, very light on the details. All I knew is she drowned.
A discreet swim on a deserted Florida beach ended in death for 36-year-old Candice Cooper. Police wanted to know how this could have occurred when thousands of others who swim the Keys every year don't drown. None of that mattered to Candice's family when they learned of her death.
I was 19, was going through a real bad time in my life. Next thing I know, I'm getting a call at about 1 a.m. by the police department here in Texarkana wanting to come to my house, and they wouldn't tell me over the phone why. So me and my dad met them at the police station, and he walked in and broke the news. Nothing and everything is running through your mind at that time, because it's, for one, you're dumbfounded, so you don't really know what to think. But on the other hand, your mind starts racing.
In the days following Candice's death, Detective Mitchell collected a timeline of events from Billy Baker leading up to the 911 call. He needed to know more about the couple and their relationship.
She's from Texas. Her and Billy had been friends for a long time, been dating for a while, and they were having some issues in their relationship here and there, and I think he wanted to make things up to her, so he kind of sprung a surprise trip to Key West. The only time Candice had called her family members was the day that they left. They were surprised that she was going to Key West after the night before they had gotten into an argument.
It's very common for people to say, let's go down to the Keys and get away from it all. The typical Key West, let's rent a Jeep. The person who runs the Jeep rental place here, he does remember them because they were having a good time. They were very loose and casual, and they did make an impression.
I asked him, were you guys drinking a lot throughout the day? And he said, no, we just had a couple drinks here and there. And then they ended up going back to the hotel, grabbed a couple of more drinks, and then drove back up the Keys because he said they were looking for a beach to go watch the sunset.
The detective tried to understand how Candice had drowned so close to the shore and water she could have stood up in.
Smathers Beach is a very shallow beach. I mean, you can walk probably 500-600 yards off from the beach, and you're still only in waist-deep water. It's not deep at all. You have to go quite a ways out before you start to even get over your head. When I asked him too, how deep, where was he, I pulled up a little Google map of the beach and asked him to show me where it was. And where it was maybe 4 or 5 feet from the shore, and it's only about 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep there, if that.
Days after Candice's death, as her family was preparing to bury their loved one, they called Billy Baker. So you called Billy regarding your mom's death. What do you remember about that conversation?
My memory of that specific conversation is not very strong. Just because, it's a traumatic, but the manner in which he claims she drowned is just it's really a stretch. Honestly, a huge stretch.
As Key West detectives looked deeper into Billy and Candice's star-crossed relationship, the image of soulmates began to fade.
According to Billy, that they were having a great time. I asked him, was there any arguments? He said that they had a great relationship, that they don't have arguments. He made it like the relationship was a very healthy relationship and very loving relationship. I asked, were you guys drinking a lot? And he's like, no, we don't. We just had a couple of drinks and that was it. So, but talking with family members, originally she did not want to go to Key West. So she said no, and that actually caused an argument between Billy and Candice. He apparently threw a pickle jar at her and hit her in the head. They were separated, I guess, that night. And then I guess the next day he convinced her to go to Key West.
But when questioned again, Billy had another story.
How about the night before she drowned when y'all were in the hotel? I heard that y'all got into a fight that night.
We got into an argument and I walked out.
Detective Mitchell wrapped up the interview with Candice's boyfriend. His version of events didn't seem like a logical explanation for why Candice was dead.
We took him back to his hotel. We had gone through the hotel room and started discovering the large amount of alcohol. And that's when we really started seeing how much alcohol was being consumed by them.
The uneasiness police were feeling was magnified by Candice's family. As you were preparing for your mom's funeral, was Billy helping? Were you talking to him, or was he talking to anybody in the family?
We didn't want Billy invited because Billy was constantly and frantically insisting that she be cremated, and she did want to be cremated. So I think that's what started making some members of my family suspect, maybe he's wanting to get cremation done to, hide evidence.
Police were increasingly skeptical about Billy's explanation for her death and his desire for Candice to be cremated. In order to vet his story, they believed the Jeep and its GPS might hold information that Billy hadn't divulged.
He was really consistently reaching out, asking what the results of the autopsy were. That raised alarm bells.
Key West Police Detective Stephen Mitchell continued to have reservations about Billy Baker's account of Candice Cooper's death. Other than Candice herself, the only other constant in their final hours was the Jeep, and there was a way to confirm or poke holes in Billy's story.
He said they got to the beach, they got out, they poured a beer, and then just went straight into the water. And his timeline was that they had been there for about 30, 40 minutes. But I found out later that Jeep that they had rented had a GPS on it. So I knew what time that the Jeep had parked at the beach and then what time he had called 911. It was just under 12 minutes that they had actually been at the beach.
Police now knew that Billy had lied about how long he and Candice were at the beach. It appeared that he took her there for a reason and not for a spur-of-the-moment sunset swim. As Candice's family awaited the autopsy results, Billy was coming unglued. How did Billy's behavior change?
We communicated over text a couple times. He reached out to me to ask, has she been cremated? To other members of the family, he was really consistently reaching out, asking what the results of the autopsy were. That raised alarm bells.
And what were the results of the autopsy when they were released?
When the medical examiner's report came back, the autopsy, he found that the cause of death was manual strangulation with drowning. Somebody meant to kill her.
Once we got the medical examiner's report, We attempted to go back and speak with him the following day. And I found out his daughter, she had flown in, and they actually were downtown Key West partying and having a good time. And then they drove back to Texas the next day. At that point, he didn't want to talk to us. He wanted a lawyer.
Candice Cooper's death was now considered what everyone had suspected, a homicide. Detective Mitchell was building a case of murder against Billy Baker. What do you believe occurred on the last day that Billy and Candice were together?
I think their relationship was falling apart. I think Billy's trip to Key West was the last-ditch effort to try to save their relationship, but I think Candice had probably at that point already decided that she wanted out of that relationship. Maybe when they got to the beach, and maybe she told him, that she was done. And I don't know if between the amount of alcohol she was drinking and the medication that she had been taking, he was able to overpower her and end up, killing her.
We had forewarning that he was going to be arrested. And by that time, I had pretty much accepted that he probably had done it.
When he was in jail, he confessed to 2 inmates that were in jail with him together.
He said they went out of the Jeep there and then they went out onto the beach. And he said at that time period, that's whenever there was nobody out there, and he said he just held her head underneath the water from the back and drowned her.
I believe he got her drunk for one reason. Make it easier to kill her.
Billy Baker was arrested and charged with the murder of Candice Cooper. He continued to deny that he had done anything to harm her, insisting that she had drowned. How would you like your mom to be remembered?
She was a really kind, free spirit. She didn't know a stranger, and she was just about the most free-spirited, free-loving woman on the planet. The most motherly and caring. Her death deprived everyone of a sister, a mother, a granddaughter, a friend.
Key West police had assembled a cache of evidence against Candice's boyfriend that would be nearly impossible to refute.
During my victim impact statement, I said, I hope one day you can admit what you've done.
When Billy Baker learned that his girlfriend Candice Cooper was planning to leave him, he murdered her. Billy was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. He has never expressed remorse for killing Candice, the mother of 2 sons. The murder of Candice Cooper devastated her family, a loss they continue to feel today. Since the death of his mom, son Colton has begun studying law, a career he chose as a tribute to her. And now, it's time for today's Safety Spotlight. Candice Cooper's troubling story calls attention to how alcohol can significantly exacerbate abusive behavior, leading to dangerous and sometimes deadly situations. If your partner is intoxicated and a conflict arises, focus on de-escalating the situation rather than engaging in arguments. Remaining calm and avoiding confrontational behavior can help prevent the situation from worsening. Find a safe place to go, such as a friend's house or a public area, and avoid engaging with your partner until they are sober. Reach out to domestic violence support organizations and hotlines for guidance and assistance. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE, offers confidential support and resources to help individuals in abusive situations. I'm Nancy O'Dell. For all of us at Crime Exposé, please join us next time and stay safe.